Jumbo and Habari, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to night 2 of Kwanzaa, a modern celebration for 2025. I am Shonda Branch. I'm your host and your guide this evening as we celebrate Kwanzaa. I'm so excited to bring in a special guest. She is my sister friend, my homegirl. We're going to get straight into it. But before we do that, I do want to light our candles tonight. So, Habari Gani, what's the news? Well, we celebrated Umoja on night 1. And tonight's news is Kujichagulia, self-determination. To name ourselves, to define ourselves, to create for ourselves, and to speak for ourselves. Y'all, we have a special treat in store. Please, please, please give a warm, warm welcome to my good friend, my sister, performing artist and community leader, Okisha Wells.
Thank you for the warm welcome. I feel like a superstar.
You should. You are. It's all true.
I receive it.
And that right there is the heart of self-determination. We said it, and so it is. We've decided, and that's what we're going with, y'all.
It has to be.
Listen, it's absolutely imperative. Okisha and I met through theater and through performing arts, and the heart that this woman has is just so tremendous. I knew I had to have her on the show. She absolutely had to be part of this celebration, and she is so flexible that, like, typically this is the kind of person that I would have on for Kaumba night. I would have her on for night 6, but Okisha is versatile and multifaceted and flexible. And so I have her on for Kujichagulia to talk about self-determination, because if there is someone out there in my circle who is truly defining for themselves what they want their life to look like and moving and making things happen, it is this lady. So Okisha, tell us a little bit about yourself, so everybody else can fall in love with you the way that I have.
Well, I am Okisha Renee Wells. I am North Carolina based artist. I have been in the performing arts since I was in probably middle school. That's where, I really got bitten by the musical theater bug. I'm also a wife. I am a mother. We're all artistic over here. If they were to redo Hercules, we'd all have a spot as one of the muses. Um, I spend most of my time either singing with the band or I'm looking for a new musical theater production, and everything isn't always professional. I do like to do community theater because that's where some of the dreamers are still residing. Like if I run across some up and coming theater artists or actors, I always take the time to let them know what this business has to offer, the pros, the cons, how to prepare. There isn't just one way to get to where they're trying to go. But I did find a blueprint. And if you stay on that particular yellow brick road, you're going to have some level of success. Maybe you won't be celebrated. And that's always good because I like to go to Family Dollar and Walmart still. I don't want to be hiding somewhere because there's droves of people. I want to go, in my PJs, in my flip flops, my Crocs, or whatever. But I try to let them know that, you have to be committed. You have to be in it to win it. And you can't listen to what everyone else tells you. Someone told me, you eat the meat, spit out the bones. Get what you need from them. But if you've got your own goal, go for it.
I love it. Y'all, you see why I love Okisha? Okisha is just a wellspring of knowledge and good. I call it gravy. Okay, Okisha's got gravy, right? There's always something wise that's going to come out of your conversation with her. Let's take a second and talk a little bit about Kwanzaa as a whole. Okisha, do you have any history with Kwanzaa? Tell me a little bit about how you celebrate it.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I have flirted with Kwanzaa. Like we haven't been in a full-fledged relationship, but I've always been curious about it ever since I was a little girl, because there was maybe a book that the librarian read showing us different cultures, different holidays, and how different people celebrate them. And it was just something about the candles and the red, the black, and the green, and the different principles and traditions that the family that they were illustrating showed. And so I was always curious about it. And, of course, after Christmas, I will always say Happy Kwanzaa, but I never took the time to really invest
Mhm.
in practicing or learning the culture until I saw you, Shonda, with your, living Kwanzaa 365 days. And so I really tuned in, I believe it was last year,
Okay.
and catching some of the interviews and some of the principles and making my own personal notes on how I can live Kwanzaa 365 days. How can I apply those principles to my life?
Wow. So the reach is there. I just, I'm always excited to hear when people discover Kwanzaa as adults for themselves because I had a passing familiarity with it growing up. I was very familiar with it. And I was part of Kwanzaa celebrations through one of the local institutions, through Jack and Jill of America. And we had a big Karamu feast. It was a huge, splashy event, like just beautiful, well done. And that was where all of my Kwanzaa education ended. It was that one big night with that potluck, everybody dressed to the nines, and we had a fantastic time. And then we went away for another year, and that was that. And so when I had to come back to Kwanzaa on my own, I came back to it in 2020 as an adult woman with a husband, with a young daughter in the throes of a pandemic, and Kwanzaa is one of the things that just anchored me and gave me some light and some joy and brought that into my home. And I was convinced that this will fix everything. If everybody will just get on board with Kwanzaa, this is it. This is the thing. And so I got really excited about sharing, and I'm really glad that what I've been sharing has reached my friends and family in my circle the way that it has.
Yes, absolutely. I guess what you're always doing something and always meeting different people and in different rooms. Like when we were working on The Color Purple and we would have some downtime and I'd be in Raleigh with you, let's say we're going to get a coffee, I would see the variety of people that you had exchanges with. But
Mhm.
when I saw one of your first videos for Living Kwanzaa, I'm like, I should have known. I should have known that that was the world that you were building in just to keep yourself grounded as a human being. Because
Mhm.
it's not just, for that holiday season, but it's applying the principles on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yep. And the other thing that I feel like I really want people to know and understand about Kwanzaa, at least in the context that I practice it, it's not about big changes. It's about micro shifts. It's about embedding an idea and letting that idea lead where you're going in terms of leadership in your career, in how you serve your church or your other institutions that you're a part of. It's really important to know and understand that like it doesn't take a lot to hold Kwanzaa and to keep these principles forward of everything that you're doing. It's small things, small things. So let's talk about tonight's principle. We're talking
Okay.
about Kujichagulia, which is not only fun to say, but it is the Swahili word for self-determination. And I know that this is one when I again circle back to Kwanzaa as an adult. This is one where I really had a light bulb moment and went, oh, that's not what I thought it was. We hear determination, and I always frame it this way. Most people think of the little engine that could. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can.
Right.
And the founder of Kwanzaa has framed it completely differently for us to know and utilize. It's about determining who you are and how you present yourself to the world And I think that that's one of the pieces that when I came around to that as an adult and really had to be considerate and thoughtful about how am I naming myself? How am I speaking for myself? It was really interesting. So I want to know, what are your thoughts around tonight's principle specifically? Like, how are you approaching self determination?
Hmm. Honestly, I would have to say that I'm I'm really in a place of redefining
Ooh,
who I
that's
am,
that's good.
because who I guess the character that I created for me to be, to show up in front of people, it's not working anymore, if that makes any sense.
Ooh, it does. It makes complete sense.
Like who am I?
Hmm.
Am I really working for the community, really trying to upbuild the community? Or am I selfish? Am I reaching for fame? Do I have to be funny all the time? Is it okay for me to feel those emotions, to feel those things? Is it okay for me to second guess the path that I've decided to take? Who do people expect me to be? Do they expect me to always sing those big songs with the big notes and all the things, or can I just, I don't know, can I
It,
just be real? Can I do the unexpected?
mm, I love everything that you're saying because I too am in a place of rediscovery. Um, n- I realized that for a long time I was hanging my idea of myself and my perception of myself on who I was in terms of my career, on my profession. Was hanging my perception of myself on being a teacher. And that identity, I always led with that. And so now that I'm in a new space and I'm hanging a new identity as a CEO, as a cultural creative, as an author, as a speaker, I'm still a teacher, but I'm doing it in different ways. But it's been really interesting how that has affected me mentally and how it has affected the way I present myself, the way that I speak to people. It's just been really interesting in this. I think you called it an in between space.
Right.
How are you working through that in between space? What are some of the things that you're doing to like get to your truest self?
Honestly, I cannot take the credit because I I'm from one extreme to the next in 24 hours. But I will say that the support that I have with me is
Hmm.
keeping me grounded and keeping me um, always looking for the best version of myself.
Ooh, I love that.
So I would say having the right people around me, and primarily I would say the most honest would be my husband, because he's gonna call a spade a spade. He's gonna call me out if I'm unorganized. He's gonna let me know, because a cluttered space is a cluttered mind.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
I'll have my whole experience in one area. We got bags here, bags there, shoes here, shoes there, because I'm constantly coming and going.
Yep.
But I'm learning to, it's okay to say no to things. It's okay to just sit. You don't have to take everything. And that's my problem. I'm still struggling because I want to say yes to every project,
Yep.
but it can be taxing on you mentally. So I'm still discovering, I'm still organizing, I'm still finding out who I really am.
I love that. Are you finding joy in doing that, or is it like feeling like drudgery? Because I have days where it's like back and forth.
It's half and half. Some days I can look like this is good. On the inside, I'm like, oh, I need to go do this. Oh, I need to dust that. Oh, I need to apply to that. Oh, I need to put that self tape in. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yep.
Just sit. Be still.
Ah, be
Be
still.
still.
Ooh, saith the sage. I I have a hard time with that too, with the stillness. And I think part of it is because in that stillness and in the quiet, there's a lot um, there's a lot that comes in uninvited. And having to sit with some of those things and think through some of those things and some of the memories that resurface, like that stillness, that quiet time, that can be a challenge.
Right, because it could take one word, it could take a sound, a song to send me back to a memory or a thought that I don't want to open up. But
Mhm.
it's time to deal with those things because I can't keep carrying the
Mhm.
same dead weight if I am really trying to redetermine
Yeah.
how I'm showing up.
Ooh. Redetermine. I like that. That's a good phrase. That's a good word. That's
Yeah,
t-shirtable.
it's not, it's not just one set thing because we're constantly evolving daily. We're
Mhm.
constantly growing, constantly changing. So my script has to change.
That's why
How
we
I
use
move.
pencil. That's why we use pencil because it's going to
Yeah.
change.
So I can erase.
I love that. And not being afraid to erase and to try again and start over and do it a different way. I think that it requires so much bravery. I'm not always brave. Like sometimes I would much prefer to be comfortable.
Yes, so, yes, I can be scary because I don't want to, I guess, make the wrong mistake
Mhm,
or
mhm.
misstep. Because I
Yep,
don't have a problem jumping off the cliff and seeing what happens on the way down, but I ain't afraid to grab something
on the way.
on the way down. I'm not just gonna free fall.
That
No, if I see a branch, I'm gonna grab that branch. No pun intended. Just
that's
came out
funny.
that way.
That's funny. I love it. I love exactly how it came out. And it's smart. It's one of the things that, Ray, you have a daughter. I have a daughter. Our daughters are reflections and mirrors of, of ourselves.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
and in raising my daughter, I think a lot about identity for her. And I think a lot about something that I think my generation, our generation in parenting, we are being hyper conscious of not imposing on our kids the way that maybe some, we were programmed and told, what to do and what was the path and how we needed to be and how we needed to show up in the world and how we needed to achieve. And I'm doing my best to allow my daughter to figure that space out for herself from a very early age. So as just a little tyke and a little pumpkin, I'm seeing her kind of grow and develop into her own person without like pruning too tightly around it. Talk to me in mama speak about like bringing these
And,
niggas up.
and it's funny that you said that because I'm constantly checking in with mine. She's going to be 15 next month.
No, she's not. Take it back.
Hopefully.
Take it back.
She's
Say
going
a
to be
different number.
15.
Say a lower
I
number.
can believe it. And of course, the Google file is pulling out all the old pictures from holidays from 15 years ago and counting. And, I had my moment. But my job now is to make sure you're prepared for this world.
Mhm.
It's important to keep your space clean. It's important to do your laundry, to wash your dishes, because you're going to be holding down a house, apartment, or whatever on your own. Hopefully, you'll be going to college and have a roommate. You don't want your roommate saying, "Ooh, you nasty." You don't want that. So why don't we start practicing now?
Mhm.
But I also, from the time she was little, I would introduce her to certain activities, not knowing what she would gravitate towards. But I'm just going to throw some stuff at you just to see what you do.
Yeah.
Put her in karate. She did well, but she wasn't committed. It was
Yeah.
cool at first, but there was no commitment. She's still like a green belt or something like that. Never
Okay.
went past it. I introduced her to competitive cheerleading.
Hmm.
And so, she was right there in the center, giving all the life, giving all the personality. But once again, it's not something that you're committed to, because the other girls, they eat, sleep, breathe
Yeah.
cheerleading. Got her a trampoline. She used it, to beat the neighborhood kids up. Nothing for cheerleading. But it wasn't until she was introduced to the musical theater world. And
Mhm.
that's where I'm living. So she's been watching me all this time, but I'm gonna let you go and do your own productions and see what happens. The child had the privilege of playing Rafiki in The Lion King Jr. And I refuse to be that stage mom that's all involved. I refuse. I have to fight that in me to get up there and start rooting people. So I'm sitting in the audience, and she begins the first song, Circle of Life. And I am trying to glue myself to the seat because I can't take it. Because that's the voice that you've been hiding in there. Oh, I
Wow.
see you. Yes, you love
Wow.
Korean pop, but ma'am, the destiny has reached out and grabbed you. What are you going to do with it? You can be a
Wow.
veterinarian. You can be a hairstylist. You can do nails, makeup, all the things. But something is calling for you. What are you going to do? And I just sat back. I was like, if you want a career in it, you can have it with ease,
Ha.
far more easy than me.
Ha.
You can jump in and get some work done, but it's all up to you. So I let her, marinate in the little bit of fame she was getting, because, the name of the group is Art Secute, and it's definitely about the young people having a space to do their art.
Okay.
But she saw herself flash across as a commercial or as an ad on someone's game on their phone, on YouTube. Now you're the staple of that community arts program. Now you're the face. Everyone is looking up to you. What are you going to do with that?
Mm-hmm.
So she says, Mom, with things going the way they're going in Korea, I don't think it would be a good idea for me to move over there. I said, that's very good diplomatic thinking, but don't shut that down because you're afraid.
Yeah.
I want you to go. I want you to see, because I believe that you can bridge a gap there. But what is it that you want to do? And she says, I think I want to be a Broadway actress. I could have hit the floor. I said, okay, now that I can help you with that, kid.
Mommy can help you there. Mommy can help you there. I love it. And supporting our kids in their choices and in their decisions. I feel like it's so rewarding because my daughter is going down. It is not musical theater. She's singing. She does sing with a choir now, um, and she enjoys it. And she has a beautiful voice, and I love watching her. But I can sit back and go, I don't know that this is your thing. This is your thing. And I
Right.
want her to find that. And so, like you, we are giving her the sample platter of activities and things to be a part of. Um,
Yes, even with sports, because I wanted her to remain physically active,
yeah.
because we have a love for food, for sweets, for all the things. Like our taste buds are overactive. So to balance that, because I can't stop her, it's in you on both sides. I
Yep.
got to keep you active. I got to keep you out the house. So
Mhm.
let's go play basketball. Let's go play soccer. She was a goalie. and I'm watching her dance as a goalie. This is not your calling. Yeah, this is
was
not your
some
calling.
determination in that moment. In that very moment, she was like, "I meant to dance. I define myself as a dancer in this moment."
Yes, I've got the videos. I've got the receipts because I wanted to make sure she knew when she gets to where she's going. You've always been this. You came in this world as an entertainer. It's who you are.
Yeah.
But I need you to find it for yourself.
Wow. So I love that thought, that idea that these kids come into this world who they are, and I might get into trouble for this. I really don't care. It's my channel. Um, but one thing that I think Kujichagulia touches on in terms of that identity piece, we as Black people have been self-determined for a while, right? We find ways to choose for ourselves, for instance, what we want to be named. We went from Negro to Black to African American to African descendant. Now you have this Solon or Solani out there. And there are all of these like intricacies about who qualifies for this identity and how, and you have to be Black, but you can't be African, but you have to be this, but not from the Caribbean. But there's all of these things. And yet and still in our community, I run across people who still have this mentality of other folks when it comes to other people that, well, his mama named him Cash. And so we can't play both sides of the Kujichagulia. We have to be all in for people having the freedom to decide for themselves who they are, to speak for themselves and make choices in terms of policy and in terms of their lifestyle and all of those things. We have to be all in for people to create for themselves and have their own institutions, their own clubs and organizations and guilds. And we have to be all in for that because the expectation is going to be that we have that for ourselves. So it bothers me when our friends are not always open to other people deciding and self-determining bits of their identity. How do you?
I mean, who are we to say? Who are we to say we are still figuring out who we are?
Yeah.
Who are we to say? If that's how they want to identify, or if that, rings true to them, that's them. When I
Mhm.
came into this world, I came in by myself with my own umbilical cord, my own thumb, my own hair. Nobody else was coming out with me. So who am I to say about how someone else determines who they are?
Mhm.
Culturally, I have no clue. I think that I'm a reflection of all the treats.
Ooh.
I've got everything. I've got the West Indies. I've got the Anglo-Saxon.
Mhm.
I've got the African. I've got the native. I've got it all flowing through my veins.
Yeah.
But I can't pinpoint what's where, who's who.
Mhm.
All I know is I'm someone's dream. They
Ooh.
never would have thought that someone like me would be able to do what I'm doing. They couldn't even have dreamed it. Or if they did dream it, they didn't think they could do it.
Mhm.
But I'm here as living proof of what can happen, the changes that can happen over time when you're understanding the freedom that you are born with and living that truth.
I love that. Because and the conversation is moving this way. We've talked a lot about our individual selves and knowing and understanding how we place ourselves in terms of identity. I love Dr. Crenshaw's work on intersectionality because, like, I don't live at the same intersection as anybody else.
Right.
All of the bits and pieces that make me who I am are different. And so, therefore, the combination of those bits and pieces, or the intersections of those bits and pieces, where they meet up, is totally different than anybody else, which gives me my own
Right.
unique perspective, and abilities and talents and all of that. But I think as a people, we have to be thinking about self determination also. We have to be thinking about, okay, as Black female moms in theater, what is it that we need? What challenges are we facing? And how do we want to move? Like when we think about, there's 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 a handful of us, right? And that's a really big handful. There's a handful of us. So, as a group that identifies in this way, how do we begin to work together and move collectively, to serve our self determination?
You know what? Now there is one thing. Now I love to put a production together, and I've gotten accustomed to being one of the few, but it is nothing like when all of the brothers and sisters come together to
I'm a living
do the
witness.
show because we click from day one. We know we in this together from day one.
Yep.
We learn from each other. We're not afraid to call each other out. We're not afraid to correct each other. We're not afraid to pour into each other. We gonna eat together, sleep together. We everything is a song. I love it.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
one thing I told my daughter, I said where I went wrong in this business is that since I grew up or I went to high school in a predominantly African American or Black school. And I wanted to be around the other cultures, like when we were in elementary school. I also felt like I wouldn't be taken seriously as an
Mm,
actor if I went to an HBCU.
mm, wow.
Shame on me and everything that I really stand for, because that was like a slap in the face to all my people. But it's something that I had to learn.
Yeah.
And I found out immediately no one can teach me how to be a Black actor but a Black actor.
Cannot be
Found that out
done.
the hard way.
Cannot be done. Cannot be done. I mean, and when I think about the experience as a degree holder from an HBCU in an arts program, when I tell you just the level of history and theory that I got, I learned about the Black arts movement in a very different way than what is presented in that half a chapter in that one little textbook that you might use as a theater major.
Right.
Um, I had the opportunity to talk to people who were in some of those original productions. I had an opportunity to work with people who, wrote original pieces and were part of those movements, and I would not have had that experience somewhere else if I had not myself into an HBCU. And honestly, I give my mom credit for that one, because she twisted my arm to get me into a Black school, and once I was there, I got it. But from the outside, that's the narrative that was presented to me as well. That like you can go to one, but like nobody's gonna take that degree seriously, and nobody was gonna take my theater degree seriously either. So there were two things that I was fighting. Not only was I going into a non-traditional career path, but I was also doing it at an HBCU.
Right. So, over here, I'm definitely pushing HBCU. I'm like, start there. Whatever you do after that, that's fine. But start there because that's a part of the learning, the
Hmm.
history of our theater world. Because
And
how
of
we
this
tell
stuff.
stories is different from how other people tell stories.
It is. It's very different. It's very different. And again, going all the way back to some of the theory I got training in storytelling in the tradition of the African griots. And starting with that foundation, there's nowhere you can't go after receiving that foundation. And it's part of our cultural center. It's part of who we are as a people. We've never been in a room full of Black folk where a story wasn't told, and told well, and told exceedingly well. So it's just part of who we are. But to get the theory behind it and to get the underlying principles of it, and then be able to apply that to any role that I've taken on elsewhere has
Right.
been it's been critical to my success and to my ability to even do it.
And sometimes, well, a lot of the times, I'll have moments where I'll have regrets about my journey, how
Mm,
I got to where I am now. Until I was working on once on this island not that long ago with Theater Raleigh, and I'm sitting with the younger kids because now I'm understanding where I am. I'm auntie now. I'm no longer, one of the young 20-year-olds. I'm auntie who's
fully
been around
initiated
for a little
auntie.
bit. And I'm, sitting there listening to the younger ones and listening to their horror stories. They're at, let's say, UNCG with their
Mhm,
musical theater program, which they really didn't have when I was there. And they're talking about their training or at other schools that they're going to and their training and how they feel like there's a lack there.
mhm.
And I'm like, I hate that I didn't go to this school and that school, but I'm glad that I was brave enough to go to New York City and be trained by the professionals that were actively working in that field,
That's right.
and being trained by them on how to be a better performer, but how to maintain your sanity in the times where you're not working. What do you do?
Yeah,
How do you prepare when you don't have anything? Because you could be hot for a good little while, just show up and show up and show, and then it all falls quiet. And listen to the kids, they're not being prepared for that, not being prepared at all. And so, of course, you know me, I had to get on my box and tell the babies, look, get what you can get from there. You're already in school. The school loans aren't going anywhere. Just keep going.
that's
We'll
it.
cross the bridge when we get to it. Just keep going and go to this school over here because they're going to take care of you. And
Yeah,
then save up your money, be brave, move to New York because the only way to conquer Broadway is to move to New York and
that's
let
it.
the games begin because you'll be right there. And I guarantee you're going to be successful.
You are. And the other thing is, these kids have already shown so much bravery, and especially our young men who are into these fields. They've already determined for themselves that this is who I am, and this is how I present to the world, and this is what I want to do with my life. So they've already done a bit of hard work. Um, so to see them, and if they're in show at theater, they're already working as professionals. They are
Mhm.
actors and performers, and to see them arrive there still having doubts about the next thing, still having doubts about what's right for them in the next few years. It feels really good, like I said, to have that auntie energy because I feel like I can honestly tell them from a place of experience. This is what has worked for me. This is what has not worked for me. This is what I see coming down the pipe. And one of the things that I always advise for my young performers is that they go ahead and start to identify also as an entrepreneur.
Right.
You start to identify as an entrepreneur. What is your and we've got to stop calling them side hustles because I think that minimizes what they're able to do or how they perceive it. But what is your entrepreneurial arm or venture? How do you connect your creativity, your um, your your identity, your perception, understanding of yourself, your culture? How do you connect all of that to something that's going to make you money for those times when you are in between shows, when you haven't been cast? How do you do that? So that's something that I'm them too.
Ooh, I
Because think about it, we have friends who are professional actors, who are also real estate agents.
right.
It's a both and you have to have all parts. Who are also coaching or teaching, who are also directing their own nonprofit organizations. They're doing it. They're doing it all. And I think when these kids identify as both a performer and an entrepreneur, when they meet there, they've got a much stronger and wider fit.
I call it you have to finance your business.
Hey,
You are your business and you need to finance it. So that means that you need to have some extra revenue coming in. Even one of my biggest things for the longest, and I think is most actors, we all get into the restaurant and we serve tables and we bartend. Not just because of the quick money, but it's a job where we can jump in and jump out. Where we've got that room where if I've got a contract that comes up, I can take that contract without any problems. But it also gives us an opportunity to practice because every guest, every table is another show. At least that's how I played the game. If I've got four tables, I got four shows that's going on. Everybody hold on for the ride because Miss O is going to give it to you. What you thought you wanted to see, that's what I'm going to serve you. If you
yikes.
want to throw a monkey wrench, I'm rolling with the punches with you. I'm going to give you a full experience and take a bow at the end and collect my coins off the table and move on.
Hmm. Wow. I had never heard it phrased that way. And that's calling me back to a conversation that we had years ago. Maybe not. Maybe it hasn't been that long ago. Maybe it has. I'm not sure because we you know how we wrap it up.
Right.
But you talked about the show that you were writing based on your experiences. And I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. I'm excited for you to embrace your identity and name yourself as a writer and really like put that work into the world. I'll
Yes, you
audition
have
for
given me
stuff.
some really good ideas as far as that project. And that baby has to be born because I feel like it'll reveal something that others may not know about that industry and what those people have to go through. Because I know that there's they kind of look down at those who entertain, quote unquote, in that way. If it wasn't for those people, you wouldn't have anywhere to go.
Mm,
Remember, couple? Remember how we were in the house?
that's right. That's
It's because
right.
of these people, these brave people that we can go out and dine and have a full experience. But these people are not college dropouts. Many of them have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees. Some are military veterans. Some are teachers.
A
They
lot
just
of
trying to
them.
make it. They're trying to make it. And I
They
can't wait to tell this story. It'll be a tearjerker. You'll laugh, you'll cry. I just gotta finish birthing this baby.
listen. Well, I'm happy to serve as a midwife when you when you need some
Yes,
help
yes.
to come hold your hand while you push.
And breathe and sweat.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Need you.
And that's another thing. I think we have to come to a place where once we have identified and named some of those identities, we got to lock arms with some people that can help us along the way. Identify who can be beneficial not only to us, but who we can help in
Right.
addition. So talk to me a little bit about how you are serving the community and serving the kids out there.
Well, I will say, and I have to thank my daughter for this, that I have partnered with Arts Acute. Um, they are a small group. I think they've been together for maybe 2 years now, where they introduce our babies to different forms of art. They have taken them to Morgan State to see their cast do a production of The Color Purple. They've been to see me doing some productions because they had no idea that I do what I do. I'm just a mom. I'm just my daughter's mom. That's all. So I wanted them to see how we roll, how we do. What happens after you study? Like if this is something that you really want, it can be obtained. So I would go into the rehearsals and I would watch them work on their scenes, and I might pull one to the side and not to step on the director's toes, but I give them a little bit of advice, to show them that you have freedom to make different choices when you're telling these stories.
Yeah.
If you're going to be, Simba, then Simba, how does Simba walk? How does Simba talk? Just kind of putting those little acorns out there and showing them that there are more choices that they can make. So I've been giving back to that program because the kids are the ones that are going to grow up and to eventually take my spot. And then I will go to the next level and educate someone else. And hopefully we'll all be throwing those seeds out so it'll be a complete forest of opportunity.
I absolutely love that you phrased it that way, that they can take my spot because I'm elevating, I'm moving on. I think very often we get stuck in a single identity. We get stuck in a single name for ourselves. Like I was saying earlier, hung up on teacher, hung up on educator, and freeing myself from that. I'm like, whoa, there's some more stuff in here, and I'm happy that you have that understanding of elevating, evolving, and moving on, moving forward, and it not being a bad thing for somebody to take
That's
your
why
time.
I am scrambling so hard now to do all the stuff that I wanted to do before because I know that my time isn't coming to an end, but my place on the stage is shifting because there's some woman that I live with who is coming behind me on my heels. When I heard that woman sing, I said, "Oh, I'm getting ready to retire. I'm getting ready to retire. You better holler for these people. Give it
Whoa,
to them.
whoa.
Give it
Child,
to
next
them."
time she is scheduled to holler in front of people, please call her auntie so I can come and see the hollering.
I'm telling you, you'll do a double take. You'll swear it was me.
That's a
I,
lot because
I'm crying. I'm like, it's me. Me on the loose once again. So then this me can go do something else. Since you're
well,
going to conquer and you're going to take the platform to a whole nother level because you're not starting underwater
mm-mm.
like I had to. I had to start underwater to get to, above the sea level.
That's
Now
good.
it's time to build a mountain for her to stand on. So you don't have that far to go to get to the top.
That's good what you said just now. Just being able to give these kids a head start, to be able to like give them a bounce off my back. You remember when we were little, because we played outside. You remember
Right.
we had to like hop the fence and be like, here, give me a boost, here,
Yes.
and you let somebody step in your hand, and, right? So I feel like that's what we have to do. And, in return, I feel like there's going to be a lot of hand reaching because your friend, once they got to the top of the fence, they throw their hand back and then pull you up. And now we both are boosted, right? So I think that's the mentality that we have to get back around to. And intergenerational, we have to like remind them, okay, got you a boost up there. You got to take care of the overhead set. Got you where you headed.
You got to be able to extend that same hand to pull somebody else up. And I'm glad that my daughter has that. I have to keep reminding her though, listen, the name that's going to be on your diploma is not theirs. So make sure you get yours. Make sure you are understanding. She was like, "Well, mom, they needed some help. I had to help them. I was done with my work." Okay, I understand. Don't forget. You got some getting that you need to do. But she already has the mindset of, if I got it, if somebody else is in need, I have to extend that hand. I can't leave them behind. And I think that we all need to be reminded to think that way. We're just, we're not just here for ourselves. God, or the
Ooh,
creator, however you want to address him, has placed us all here together to serve each other, not ourselves.
okay, well, we could hang it up right there, but I would
Yeah.
love to end the interview right now. But I have
That
one more
was
question.
today.
I have one more thing that we need to talk about, y'all. I love
Yes.
Okisha. Um, my sister is the kind of person who just bears wisdom, and you don't never know when it's gonna pop out and drop you in your forehead. But I feel like that's what just happened. So let's talk about this as we close, or like come around the corner. Every year, the founder of Kwanzaa issues a theme, and this year's theme, yet again, has hit the button. It has landed right exactly where it needs to for the times that we are living in. Like the old folks say, we live in perilous times. So the
Yes,
theme
we
for
are.
this
We are
year,
live.
uh, the theme for this year is practicing the seven principles in dimly lit times, lifting up the light, hurrying the dawn. One more time. Practicing the seven principles in dimly lit times, lifting up the light, hurrying the dawn. What does that theme strike for you? How does that
Oh
land?
my Lord. They always, and this quote keeps coming back to me. They say that it's always darkest before dawn. If we could just hold on until daylight. We're so close. It's, oh my God, it's so important for us to really embody all these principles. These principles are, they're a lifestyle. They're for survival. Um, it's sometimes it's hard to feel the unity. It's hard to feel like giving when you are still trying to make it yourself. Like, I'm barely keeping my head above water. But there's always someone out there that is worse off than you are, that would love to be in your shoes. So during this year, during this time, for me, in order to make it through these dimly lit times, these perilous times, I am going to keep my focus on the light that's at the end of the tunnel. What's going on to my left, to my right, doesn't have the final say so.
Mm,
When someone says that they're going through something, that's exactly what they're doing. We're going through the storm, through the turmoil, through the confusion to get to the other side. So if we can remember to keep redefining ourselves, I like saying that, to remember that we're in this together, that's that unity, we can get through everything that's ahead. At least that's what I'm going to do.
I love that. I love that. The concept of a new context for Kujichagulia, because this is a modern celebration. You know, celebrating Kwanzaa um, the way we did in 1966 at its founding is not going to knock out some of the things that we're facing, the issues that we are addressing and living through. Are there some similarities? Absolutely. Um, do we lean into the tradition? of Kwanzaa and uphold, those traditional ways of doing things? Absolutely do. But there are some new contexts that we need to apply and to be aware of. The idea of redefining ourselves, the freedom to redefine myself when it's necessary. I think you have framed that for us tonight so beautiful. I just love that. And I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom. Y'all, my sister Okisha is here. I'm not going to make her sing tonight. We'll save that for another episode. But just know that Okisha is the truth. She is so genuine and so real, and that's why I wanted to make sure that she got a chance to meet all of us. So, Okisha, if you have any thoughts or closing words you want to share with us, go ahead and tell us what you got.
Well, just honestly, I have enjoyed this experience so much, and I get camera shy sometimes because I'm like, is my face looking right? Is my skin perfect? But this was just like being with my friend and just us chatting it up and picking each other's minds. I really needed this today. I really needed this today.
Girl, it's just like sitting in the car after going to see a show together in the parking lot in the dark, gabbing for another 2 hours.
Telling that when we said we got to talk about this. We got to talk about the show. We got to talk about what we trying to do, what we need to do, what we didn't do, all the things.
All the things. All the things. I am so grateful for your friendship. Um, I am so grateful for you as a woman in this world and how you are moving and operating. And to everyone tonight, I want to tell you thank you for coming, stopping by, and chatting with us for a little while. Make sure you come back tomorrow night 3, where we will be talking about Ujima, work and responsibility. We've got more great guests coming up in the lineup. So excited for y'all to meet everybody and to really experience what I mean when I say living 365. Again, I'm Shonda Branch. This is Kwanzaa, a modern celebration for 2025, and I'm so honored that you are here. Happy Kwanzaa to everyone. Teresa Kwanzaa with your Kwanzaa. Good night.
Candles burning bright tonight. 7 candles, one in hope inside. Hands together, hearts aligned. Kwanzaa whispers, it's our time. Harvest songs and stories told. Ancestors' wisdom, strong and bold. Drum beats echo, voices rise. Unity beneath the sky.